So Ruth had gone down to find Boaz and found him in the night. She spent the rest of the night with him. And when morning came and she was ready to go back to Naomi, Boaz filled her bag full of grain. He gave her as much as he possibly could. However, meanwhile, Naomi had decided that she needed to sell her house and sell her land. You see, even though she and Ruth had food now, they simply didn't have enough money to keep running the house and look after the land. Even though Boaz was a relative of Naomi's, nearby there lived a closer relative. This closer relative would have the chance to buy the land and buy the house if he wanted before Boaz, because he was more closely related to Naomi. But Boaz really wanted to buy the house and really wanted to buy the land. He wanted to take care of Ruth and Naomi, and besides, he loved Ruth. So Boaz went to the town gate where business deals were done. When he found the closer relative, he said, "Naomi is selling the land that belonged to her and her husband, Elimelech, my relative. You have the first right to buy it if you want, but if you don't, then I would certainly love to." The relative explained to Boaz that he didn't want to, and Boaz was delighted. It was the custom in those times to seal a deal when buying property by one of the people involved in the deal taking off their sandal and giving it to the other person. And that's exactly what Boaz did. He removed his sandal and he gave it to the closer relative. The deal was done. Even though Naomi had to sell her land and sell her house because she couldn't manage it or run it anymore, the person who was going to buy it was Boaz. So Boaz went, got the money that was needed, and paid for the house and the land. Naomi was overjoyed. She couldn't think of anybody better to be buying the land and buying the house than Boaz. After all, Boaz had already been taking care of her and had already been taking care of Ruth. For all these weeks and months, where had Naomi and Ruth's food been coming from? Boaz's fields. Who had been showing them kindness when nobody else would? Boaz. Who had instructed the people working in his fields to deliberately drop grain for Ruth to pick up? Boaz. Boaz had shown that he could be the one to look after Ruth and Naomi and provide for them. Boaz made the announcement to the town. "Today I have bought from Naomi the property that belonged to her and her husband, my relative Elimelech, and his sons Mahlon and Chilion. I have also decided that I am going to ask Ruth to become my wife." Boaz had fallen in love with Ruth, and Ruth had fallen in love with him too. And so that's exactly what happened. Boaz married Ruth, and God blessed them both with a son, a baby boy. What had begun as a very sad and painful story for Naomi and for Ruth had now ended with happiness. Ruth had found someone who was going to look after her, provide for her, and do anything he could to take care of her. Naomi and Ruth had found someone in Boaz who had claimed them and who had made their family his family when they were in need. So Ruth and Boaz are married. Our story that started with incredible sadness and incredible loss in Naomi losing her husband Elimelech and her two sons Mahlon and Chilion, and one of them being Ruth's husband. She's lost as well. What began as quite a sad story with Naomi and her husband choosing to turn away from God and losing trust in his ability to look after them and his willingness to provide for them. This story has got a wonderful ending. A wonderful ending. Boaz is now the guardian of this family. He's going to look after them. He's going to make sure that they're provided for, that they are as safe as he can possibly make them. He has made up for the loss of Elimelech. He's made up for the loss of Mahlon and Chilion. Doesn't mean that Naomi and Ruth wouldn't have missed their family, but in Boaz taking them as his own and making them his own family, redeeming them, Boaz has now helped to fill the gap that has been left. Boaz is the guardian redeemer, the man who will look after this family. And like we learned last week, the Lord Jesus offers to be the same thing for us. And we're in need of that. Just like Ruth and Naomi were in need of a redeemer. They were in need of someone to make up for the loss and make up for the wrong. And they were in need of someone to take hold of their family and make it their own. We're in need of redeeming. We're in need of someone making up for the loss and the wrong in our lives. And we're in need of someone to make us their own. The only person that can do that for us is the Lord Jesus. The question is, will we accept him? Will you or I accept him? He offers to do it for us, but ultimately we can either accept his offer or reject his offer. Are you going to accept that the Lord Jesus can redeem you, can put right the wrongs in your life and make up for the loss and the wrong in your life? Or are you going to ignore it or turn away from him like Naomi and Elimelech did in the beginning? What this story shows is the consequences of turning away from God at the beginning and the wonderful consequences of accepting what the Lord Jesus offers us at the end. If you choose to accept the Lord Jesus, then turn to him and pray to him. Tell him that you understand that you need him. Tell him that you understand that there is wrong in your life that needs to be dealt with. Ask him to forgive you, and like Ruth in this story, trust him, and he will make you his own.